Yep.
Okay, good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. All right, so you must neither, listen carefully, you must neither wrong or oppress a foreigner among you, for you yourselves are foreigners in the land of Egypt. 22. Now, this really should scare you. You are not to abuse any foreigner or orphan. Okay, 23 says this: if you do abuse them in any way, and they cry to me, I will certainly heed their cry. My anger will burn, and I will kill you with the sword. Your own wives will be widows, and your own children will be fatherless. You guys hear that? This right here is a judgment. This means that Yah says, this is one of my rulings. This is one of the decisions that I've made. Okay. So when Abraham was pleading for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah, these were the types of things that were going on. Yah doesn't care just about his people. He cares about humanity. And he loves humanity to the point of causing a family to be born and to be raised up so it could teach them how to live so they can carry out Yah's rulings. But he's trying to teach Israel that if you do this, I'm going to kill you. And I looked at this word right here, and guess what it is? It's exactly those words. I will kill you. Okay? That's what is going to happen. So how often have we, mistreated someone in some type of way? I grew up, I was fatherless because my dad left. So we got mistreated a lot because we didn't have any strength in the house to protect us from people who wanted to take advantage of us. So I ended up cutting a lot of yards and doing a lot of weed work, and never got paid for any of my labor because that's what's happening. That's what he's talking about. I wanted to share that with you because I want you to understand what he's saying. Yah cares about the widow. He cares about the orphan. He cares about the foreigner. He cares about people. And we can't miss that. Okay. And if you and I do anything, what we own, our own children and our own wives are going to suffer. Okay. You understand? And he says this: if you loan money to one of my people who is poor, you're not to deal with him as you would a creditor. You're not to charge him interest because he's my people. No interest for my people. Okay. So later on, I want you to go through and read up on the judgments of the Holy One of Israel, and you'll find out what his decisions are on ways of life. Okay. So when we look at those things, kind of let you know where you can find it, as we just found. How did I know it was the mishpatim? How did I know it was the judgments? Because this word right here, mishpatim, means judgments. So what I do is I go through and I find out, well, where's Yah's judgments at? And all of his judgments are mentioned chapter 21 of Exodus all the way to chapter 24, verse 18. That's where you're going to find the judgments of Yah right there. Okay. And if you wanted to find out, well, who's supposed to be selected to help bring about these judgments, who's going to execute the judgments for people, then we'll go over here to this chapter of book of Deuteronomy, chapter number 16. Okay. And that's going to tell you about what? Shaftim. That is abbreviated word from Mishpatim right here that tells you that these are the judges who tell you how they're going to judge according to Yah's judgments. So these decisions have already been made. Okay. And so that's what we need to understand. So when Yah has already made a decision to judge, Sodom and Gomorrah, is based upon the judgments that he's already revealed to Israel. He's given the story of Sodom and Gomorrah as a narrative for us to learn from. So we can, and the reason why it's in this section called Wa'era, meaning to see, is because Yah wants us to see something in Sodom and Gomorrah. He wants us to understand that if you do these things, I'm going to destroy you. That's what it is, because there's no other. He wouldn't be righteous if he didn't execute his judgments. upon us if he's already given us warning and he's already told us? So he's letting us know, even before they even got the Torah. So why is he bringing judgment? They had never received the Torah. So you can't use, well, they didn't know the Torah. No, there's an expectation that Yah has. This is why he destroyed the earth the first time. Did they have the Torah? No, they didn't. But guess what they did have? They had what he gave them, which is a conscience. And he know, and you and I know, no one can claim that they don't know the difference between right and wrong. That is a complete lie. Okay. He does say that a child up to the age of 19 years old, they don't know. For whatever reason, he says, hey, everyone who's 20 and up, get rid of them. Anyone below 20, they stay alive because they don't know. They don't know what evil is. So I know you think these kids know what evil is. No, they don't. They don't understand it. So there's a certain age of and certain time of maturity that we come to that Yah holds us responsible. That's why he didn't kill all the kids in the wilderness. He killed everybody 20 years old and up. Anyone less than 20, they got to live because Yah didn't hold them responsible. Okay. He didn't hold them responsible for their parents' actions. So you can see fairness in Yah, but he gives us an opportunity to come to maturity. Okay. So if you're over the age of 20, you're going to be held accountable and responsible for your behavior. Okay. And so that should give us, yes. Someone had a question? Yes.
Yeah, well, what's the significance of, 20 and up and 19 below?
Because 20 years old and up qualified you for being able to go to war. Yah has set that in particular age for people to be accounted as a man who is able to go fight. Okay. Who's able to go fight and who's able to be part of a family, raise a family. They're at a time of maturity. Okay. And so if you're at the age of war and you're at the age of go fight, that means that you should be able to understand instructions that are given to you. You see, so that the Hebraic way of life, here in the United States of America, in the Western world, they tell you that, some kids can get emancipated, from their parents, and, they think they're adults. They tell you that you're 18 years old, you're an adult. And then they drink, but they'll let you be an adult here to put you in prison, but you can't drink alcohol until you're 21, or now you got to be a certain age to buy cigarettes, this whole thing, right? But in the Hebraic way of life, Yah has determined certain age groups for his people, okay, to say that this is when I find you to be responsible and mature enough to understand what I'm telling you. Up to that point, so, me growing up and, saying, hey, I can't wait for you to leave the house. I want to leave the house. Guess what? I should have kept my behind home until, if I was raised Hebraically, I would have understood that, guess what? When I become 20 years old, I'm responsible. But up to that point, the fathers are supposed to be raising their sons, okay, and their daughters. The moment they hit that age, more specifically the males, when they hit that age, okay, they're on their own. They're on their own at that time. And that's the way that the Creator has designed it for his people, okay? Other cultures see things a little bit different, all right?
Is that the same thing for the females? It's 20 for them, like the mature age to marry and have kids?
Yeah, no, it's for them it's different. And let me explain this. For the female, I'm glad you asked that question and thank you for it. With the female, she's under the authority of her father until she goes under the authority of her husband. So my daughter's 21 years old and she's a young woman. I have to respect her as a young woman. Okay. So I can't talk to her like she's 12. She's not 12 years old. She's 21 years old. She's a young woman. Okay. So she's mature. She has a maturity. Even though she's over this age, as long as she stays underneath my roof, I'm responsible for her. The moment she leaves my house, she has to go to another man. And then she goes under the roof of that man's house, and then she's accountable to him now. He's the Lord over her. He's the master over her, because Yah says that he will rule over you. Okay. Not with an iron fist. Okay. What the rulership means, he's the decision maker. Now she can encourage him. She can talk to him. She can counsel him. She can do all those wonderful things. And she can come into rulership with him by accepting his rulership. Like I told my daughter, once you married someone, you leave this house, you're going from one man of authority to another man. And if I don't teach her how to be respectful and how to let her know that I'm gonna hold you responsible and accountable for your actions, then I'm sending her off, and then she's gonna try to run a game on somebody else. And then she's gonna have marital problems. And then she's gonna try to find her way back here. So there's two things that I need to do. Number one, I need to talk to my daughter with respect. I need to show her what authority really looks like. Authority is not yelling and getting mad and not talking. Authority means that you sit down and you have a conversation, you explain yourself without getting angry. Like I have a confession. Yesterday, I got angry at my daughter about something. I went up about my business, went on my day, and not even an hour later, I was reading the Hebrew text, and Yah says, get on the phone and call your daughter. And I was like, why? He said, because I don't like the way you talk to her. I said, what do you mean? Well, you got angry at something when you didn't sit around and you didn't explain it to her. So how do you expect her to receive a man talking to her if you don't know how to talk to her? So it goes both ways. You understand? So respect given is respect earned. So we have to do that. And as men, sometimes, we kind of get egotistical and we get a little bit crazy, because of our nature, right? So Yah's telling us, hey, there's different ways of doing things. So I share that as encouragement, that you're going to make mistakes. And when you make them, you have to decide, am I going to be obedient to Yah? And that came through chapter number 21. Yeah, it came through 21, which we're about to get to. Okay. So back to it is that Yah says, and of course, here's an example. Praise the Holy One of Israel. These guys are asking him to bring out those men to us so they can have sex with them, right? And Lot says to them who stood at the doorway, closing the door behind, he says, look, I got my brothers, don't do such a wicked thing. These men were wicked. He says, look, I have two daughters who are virgins, okay? And guess what? A lot of people don't understand this because we don't understand the culture. These women were betrothed to receive, they had so-called husbands that they were betrothed to. This is who he went to go get, which is called his son-in-laws. Well, how are they son-in-laws and they're virgins and they're living at home? Because they had a negotiation going on where they were going to get married. They were in the process of going through the marriage. Marriage for the Hebrew people is not, hey, I'm going to marry you and we're going down there. No, what it is like you bring us a dowry. We'll sit and we negotiate the terms of the contract. Because what my job as a father is to make sure that the person who's coming to be with my daughter has to be able to fit her needs and be able to know how to talk to her, know how to treat her, and be able to take care of her. And he has to financially be able to do so. So it's a negotiation process when it comes to marriage. These girls were still they were still owned by their father. They were still underneath his roof of his house. That's why he had the authority to say what he wanted to say. See? He says you can bring them out. And here, we don't understand this, but hospitality and someone coming to your home as a visitor and you let something happen to them, that's wicked. That's terrible. So the same wickedness that these people wanted to do on these visitors, and the wickedness of there, it would have been just as wicked for Lot to send them out. So he took responsibility anytime. And if you notice what he said, don't do anything to these men since they have become a guest in my house. They came underneath my roof. Okay, whether it's a tent, whether it's your house or whatever. Okay. And then what did they do? They accused him of judging them because he made a judgment. He making a decision. Who are you to tell us anything? You see? And so they wanted to break down the door and all that kind of stuff and come in on these people and rape them. That's what they wanted to do. Okay. So what should we learn from this? We learned that, number one, anybody that's underneath the roof of our home, we're responsible for. You are responsible for your guest who comes to your home. You're responsible to show some, hospitality. This is something that was indicative of the people of the family of Abraham. Okay. Abraham was very hospitable. When he saw the three men walking up, what did he do? He ran and he got food for them. What did Lot do when he saw them? He said, come to my house. And we had a mishtay. They sat and had something to eat and drink. Come to the roof of my house. Hey, sleep. This is what it was. And that's culture. And that's something that we don't have right now because our circumstances are very different in the way that we just can't allow strangers to come in our house because you don't know who they are. You don't know what their intentions are. So we're kind of limited in what we could do. Okay. So he tells the Malachites, I'm just speeding along. The Malachites told him, go get your son-in-law, your sons, your daughters, and bring them out of this place. Whoever you have, is anybody here beside yourself? Go get them. Why? Because there's an outcry. There came an outcry. Yahweh has become aware of the great outcry, and he sent us to destroy it. Okay. Why? Because they're doing what they're doing. So he went out and he spoke with his son-in-law, his sons-in-law, who married. Well, here is not married. It is marrying. It's a participle, meaning it was in the process of going down. They were still virgins. So are they married? No. They got it. They don't actually get married until they have that. Once they have that intercourse, it's done. You're married now. That's the break. That's the deal. That's the cutting of the meat. That is like when you cut for a covenant, you cut an animal in half. When you have sex with a virgin, it's cutting open her, and that's why she bleeds, because that's the proof of it. And you had to bring proof of her virginity, that she has never been touched. She's never been cut. You cut the hymen, and they bleed. And you have to bring that. That's evidence. Okay. So here it is. Yah is going to destroy the city. So he's telling them, go get whoever you can. But when he went to them, when he went to his son-in-laws to go tell him what it was, they didn't take him seriously. He told them, get up. And he said, take your wife and your two. Okay, well, I'm a little ahead of myself. They laughed at him. They laughed at him. They didn't take him seriously. Okay. They didn't take him serious at all. Okay. In the Hebrew text, it says they laughed. They joked and everything. Okay. They're not telling us right here in English, but it said he laughed. Remember, the word for laugh is Yitzchak, which is the name of Sarah's and Abraham's son. His name means to laugh, because remember, she laughed and Abraham laughed in chapter number 17. But the opposite of that, to be contrary to that, is to mock. And this is what, in mocking, in jesting, this is what the son-in-laws did. So that's why I said every chapter from chapter 18 all the way to the end, there's always about laughter and there's always about crying. That's what all these chapters are about. So he warns them, they didn't listen, and those people end up dying and being killed. Okay. That's all I want to take from there. Chapter number 20. Got to speed it along. I'm not going to spend no time in 20. Okay. I'm going to spend time in 21 just for the sake of time. All right. So, chapter 21 says that Yah remembers Sarah. Why do you remember her? Because he made a promise to her. Number one, that she's not going to be opposed and be despised anymore. She's going to be a princess. He remembered her. This chapter is about Sarah. Okay. He remembered her, and Yahweh, he's going to remember what he said he was going to do for what he promised her. Yah is about finishing what he said he's going to do. So guess what she did? She conceived and she bore Abraham a son in his old age. And at the very time that Yah had said to him, which is 9 months, which in chapter number 18, Yah came and told him, I'm going to do this. And she laughed. Abraham called his son born to him, okay, whom Sarah bore to him, Yitzchak, which is laughter. Okay. Abraham circumcised his son on the 8th day when he's 8 years old. Why? Fulfilling what Yah told him to do in chapter number 17, which is the covenant. Circumcision is huge for Israel. If you claim that you're Israel and you're part of the house of Israel and you're part of the family of Abraham, you have to be circumcised, whether or not you're homeborn, okay, you're a son or a slave. Okay. If you're born and you're bought with money, you got to be circumcised. In a story, I had a friend, he said, should I get circumcised? I said, yeah, he's in his 60s. I said, guess what? He went and had it happen. Okay. Another guy who's in his 60s asked me, should be circumcised? Man, I can't do that. And he says, well, why should I do that? Says, because Abraham was 99 years old when he got it done. He was 99. If you don't get it done, you're done. Okay. If you don't get circumcision done, you're finished, males. All your sons need to be circumcised. If you don't get circumcised, okay, then you're breaking Yah's laws. And guess what? You broke his covenant. And he says, if you break my covenant, then you can no longer, I'm no longer your Elohim. And that's the way it's going to be. You don't belong to me, and we're done. Okay. So I need to show that to you because I don't want to say something I can't verify. Okay. Let's verify it quickly. It says here that Abraham was 99 years old when Yahweh appeared to him, which is again is Wayera. Yah appeared to him. He made himself known to Avram, and he says, I'm El Shaddai, called his name El Shaddai. Walk in my presence and be pure-hearted. Okay. Walk in my presence. And here, the walk right here is a command. And it's what is it? I'm going to cause you to walk in my presence, or you're going to have to cause yourself. You're going to have to cause yourself to walk in my presence. Okay. I will make my covenant between me and you, and I will increase your numbers greatly. Talking about his sons, Abraham and daughters. Abraham fell on his face and he continued speaking with him. He says, as for me, this is my covenant with you. You will be the father of many nations. Okay. Well, how many nations? Who's it the father of? He's the father of the nation of Israel. Right? And who else is the father? He's the father of Yishmael. He's the father of Yisrael. He's the father of Keturah's sons. He has 6 other sons. So he's the father of the Arabs, the Shemitic people, and these people too. They're all Shemitics. Okay. So those are his sons. He had a great number. And not only did he promise this to Abraham, but he told Sarah she's going to be the mother of many nations and kings will come out of her. That's why he changed her name to Sarah, meaning princess. Okay. So verse 4 says, and as for me, this is my covenant will be with you. Okay. And you will be the father of many nations. Your name will no longer be Avram, exalted father, but your name will be Abraham, the father of many, because I have made you a father of many nations. Okay. I will cause you to be fruitful. This is what the covenant is, folks. The covenant is being fruitful. That's the covenant. For what? For sons and for daughters, because you can't have a son without having daughters. The daughter is the one who has to give birth to the sons. You understand? The seed. Then he says, what? I will cause you to be fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings will descend from you. So what is he telling us about kings coming? Did King David come from Abraham? Yes. Did King Saul come from Abraham? Yes. How many kings did we have? Is all the kings of Judah and Israel? They came from him. So what does it tell you about our people? It tells you about our people and our culture that it is a royal people. It's a very noble people. Okay, the heritage is royal and it's noble. And because you're royal and you're noble, you have to live in a very righteous and in a very upright way. Your decisions are going to have to be predicated upon these elements. You're going to have to start acting royal and living noble and being righteous and doing everything you do above board. That's why the call for us is so heavy, because you're not no ordinary people. You're royal. You understand? Nobility. We have to work from a higher or the highest level of righteousness and doing that which is right. You and I can't be liars. You and I can't be adulterers. You and I can't eat what's unclean. You and I can't be unfair in our business practices. You and I can't be angry and putting our hands on people. You and I can't be people that's yelling and screaming at people. We have to be set apart, and we have to start living this way. And not only do you live this way, but in order to live this way, you got to think this way. Only if you know who you are, you would start behaving a certain way. Abraham understood this. So in chapter number 17, he's been given a covenant. In 18, Yah visits him. You see? 19, he tries to intercede because he understood the call. He's the head of all nations. And so therefore, as being the head of all nations, he was looking to help protect and save whoever he could. And he used righteousness as the basis for doing so. He didn't say, if you find 100 wicked, he knew wickedness was in the land. But he focused attention on that which is right because he knew what was pleasing to Yah. And what's pleasing to the Father is that which is right. If Yah tells us something, it's for the sake of righteousness. That's what you and I have been called to. So the Torah is not just some words that have been written on some scrolls. They're instructions to teach us how to live, to change the mindset. That's why you can't get away from it. This is why a lot of people have walked away from the Holy One of Israel. This is why our families are still locked into idolatry, because they don't understand the call to lek lekah, to walk with Yah. He told him to walk before me, and you better walk in my presence. This is a command in the Hebrew, an imperative, IMP, right here. Cause yourself to walk before me pure-hearted. If I'm going to do this, this is what it's going to have to be. And guess what he did? He fell on his face because he understood the magnitude of what Yah was asking him to do. Often, sometimes we stand before Yah when we need to fall on our face and just in reverence. When Yah speaks, do we need Yah to speak to us from the heavens? No, he's talking to us through his words. When the people of Israel heard the Torah of Yahweh after they came out of their captivity, they fell on their face in the book of Nehemiah. And they cried bitterly because they heard of everything that they have done against him. And they knew for certain that they failed Yah. You have to examine and look in your life to see where you're failing yourself by failing him. We fail ourselves when we fail him because he's the one who called us to this noble position and title. Y'all doesn't hand this out to everybody. Don't you understand that? If you're saying that you're Yisrael, you better get your mind right. This covenant right here is an agreement. It's my agreement with you. I don't make agreements with everybody. I made it with you. I'm going to change your name to verify. You're going from here and you've been exalted. Now I'm going to ask, and I'm going to add, not only are you exalted, but you're the exalted father of many. In Hebrew means what? It means nations or people. Many, I'm going to put some many on you now because you have nothing, but I'm going to make you into something because I've made you. I'm the one who made you. You don't need to understand. Look, you and I don't have capacity. As someone had asked, well, didn't Abraham have faith and he believed God? No, he did not. The Holy One of Israel made him. I made you, Abraham. I've made you, Yitzchak. I've made you, Yaakov. I made you, the tribes of Israel. I birthed you because I'm a king. And anybody that's dealing with me is going to have to be noble. And they're going to have to be right. What else we have in 6? I, the Holy One of Israel, will cause you. I will be the cause of your fruitfulness. You better hear what he's saying today. I will be the cause. I am the one who makes nations of you, and kings will descend from you. I am establishing my covenant between me and you, along with your descendants after you. That includes you and I. Establish here, that means I made it firm, a foundation. I'm establishing it through what? I'm going to establish it through a king. I'm going to establish it through a priest. I'm going to establish it through prophets. I'm going to establish it through what? You receiving my words. You live by what I say. I tell you what I want to do through my king. I correct you through my priest, and I warn you through my prophets. There is an order to this family, and the one who's in charge is Yah. And you and I belong to this family, and he is correcting us because I've established a covenant with you, between me and you, and along with your descendants after you. Generation after generation, it's not going to stop. And here is the fact that it will never stop. It's an everlasting covenant. That means forever. You want out the covenant? Get out of the covenant. Go mistreat them, widow and the fatherless. You want out of the covenant? Go marry somebody that God told you not to marry. You want out of the covenant? Go eat what he told you not to eat. You want out? You can get out. You can get out of the covenant. Does he want you to get out of it? No, he doesn't want you to get out of it. But he doesn't leave that up to him. He leaves it up to us. Ezekiel 18 tells us you and I can choose. You can choose. Joshua said it. Choose this day who you're going to serve. You can choose what to look at. You can choose what to listen to. You can choose how to talk. You can choose. God gave us freedom because he's an Elohim, a power of what? Of freedom. Even if you and I are his slaves, because he says you're my slaves. But even my slaves get freedom. Even my slaves can get to make up their minds. My slaves can choose if they want to follow me, if they don't want to follow me. My slaves will not be charged interest on any loans. My slaves will be released by their brothers after 6 years of service. And they're not going to do it for free. They're going to get paid because I'm the Elohim of freedom. I set people free. I break chains off of people's minds. I set the captive free. I release those who've been taken. That's what I do because I'm the king who does these things. I'm the one who maketh alive and I'm the one who killeth. Can anybody deliver anybody out of my hand? No. I will. I'm the cause of all of it. I will make. I am establishing my covenant between me and you along with your descendants after you, generation after generation, an everlasting agreement, a bond, an alliance, a joining together. A collaboration to work together. Why would Yah call us to join us ourselves? And why would he join himself to us as the Malachim and ask, what is man that you're so mindful of him? Why are you so thoughtful of him? Why did he create us? He created us in humanity for a purpose. Humanity has a purpose and they have a goal in mind. But out of humanity, Yah chose one family from the man of Abraham because he knew that Abraham would do what he said. Should I not hide from Abraham what I'm about to do? Considering that he's going to do this, he's going to guard, he's going to keep, he's going to instruct his family. That's the recipe. 8, I will give you and your descendants after you the land. I'm only interested in giving you land. You're not going to heaven, you're going to a land. You're a foreigner now in, the land of Canaan. It's going to be a permanent possession for you. And I will be their Elohim. Oh, really? Yeah, that's the promise. That's part of the covenant. So you got land, you got descendants, and the top of it all, I will be. I will be their Elohim. Now, don't you see what he says? If you worship another God, I'm going to destroy you because it violates the covenant. I'm testing you. I came over here to show you this. Here is my covenant, which you are going to what? Keep guard. Keep again means guarding is called shamar. S-H-M-A-R, shamar. And shamar means to guard, to be a guard, guarding, always watching out that you make sure that you do exactly what I said. So you can guard the covenant, you can guard the agreement, you can guard the alliance, you can guard the family, you can guard the contract. There's a lot at stake right now, people. Between me and you. It's personal. It ain't between me and you and the nations. It's between me and you. And along with your descendants after you. Every male among you is to be circumcised. That's why I brought you here. To let you know, every male is to be circumcised because that's part of the covenant. You are to be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskin. This will be the sign of the covenant between me and you. This is the oath of which you and I have taken together. This is the sign. A sign is an oath, and it means that I need you to do this. You got 7 days to look at it. On the 8th day, you need to cut away the foreskin. Generation after generation. Generation after generation. Every male among you who is 8 days old is to be circumcised, including the slaves born within your household and those bought from a foreigner, not descended from you. They have to be circumcised as well if they're bought with money. The slave born in your house and the person who you bought with your money, not somebody else's, must be circumcised. Thus, my covenant will be. My covenant will be in what? In your flesh as an everlasting covenant. Well, what about the women? Go ahead, Pro 13.
Back to the 8th day. What's the significance of that number on the 8th day?
The significance of the 8th day has to do with this. They consider the 8th day a brand new day, a first day. It's the first day of the week. Okay. The 8th day is also the day that Yah, asked for us to bring the animal to him to be sacrificed. It's a cutting, it's a covenant. He chose this day because it's a brand new day. It's a brand new, it's like the child had a complete week. Okay. The 7th day is the day of completion. The 8th day is something new. It's brand new. It's the 8th day. Okay. It's a brand new beginning. That's what it means. It means a brand new beginning. Okay. So what we're seeing here and the significance of this on this time is that Yah is doing something brand new. Okay. He's doing this new. He's choosing a family. Listen, not humanity. He's choosing a family. And he says, if you think about it, he says on the 8th day, I need you to do this. Okay. The 8th day. Now, did he circumcise Noach? No, he didn't. Did he circumcise Shem, Ham, and Japheth? No, he didn't. This circumcision is something new. Fresh, brand new. You got to be circumcised. In order to be in this agreement, you have to have this. And it's in your flesh. Okay? It's in your flesh. And here's the thing. Any uncircumcised male who will not let himself be circumcised, like my friend who's in his 60s. Well, I have one who did it and one who didn't. If you don't let yourself be circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, that person will be cut off from his people. Why? Because he's broken my covenant. You broke my covenant. Question would be is, well, how does a woman get in a covenant? This is what I'm about to explain to you. I told you earlier that the young woman is under the roof of her house, the daughter of her father's house. Okay, no man has been with her. And if he has, she's found to be going out and playing a whore in Israel. She's supposed to be brought to her father's house and stoned to death. Okay, if she played a whore, she's supposed to be burned to death. Okay, so the roof of the house, okay, is where the daughter's at. Okay, and then you have a wife. So you got the daughter and you got the wife. Okay, so she comes underneath her husband. That's his house. She comes underneath her father. It's his house. This is the order. Okay, based upon the father and the husband receiving the circumcision, which women need to understand this. If the woman is going to be with the man, she had to make sure that he was circumcised. Otherwise, it's going to break what? It's going to break the covenant. They would know this person's not in covenant with Yah. They broke the covenant and they will be destroyed. So if they said, hey, you know, one of the jobs of the father who's asking the husband, his son-in-law, hey, you've been circumcised. That's part of the marriage contract. He says, no, you can't marry my daughter. So what does that do for the book of, what is Timothy? Wasn't Timothy's mother a Hebrew woman and his father was a Greek? So what does that tell you? It tells you that he wasn't in covenant. You understand? Okay. So the daughter receives the protection of the covenant by being under her father's house. She's going to move from being a daughter to a wife. Once she becomes a wife, she's under the roof of her husband, but the husband binds this wife to the covenant because he takes that thing, which is his penis that's been cut in the foreskin, and he cuts through her body in order to make sure that they're joined now. She's joined to the covenant through that. The daughter is protected under the father because she's under his rulership. You understand? You can't be husband and wife without that act. So she's joined through the covenant through sexual. She's joined to the covenant by her father being her authority. The woman, the moment that she has sex with her husband, she puts herself underneath his authority. That's what everyone needs to understand. So a lot of women say, well, what about the woman? Well, there you go. Because the two shall be what? The two shall be one. We also found in the book of Genesis in chapter number 3 and number 2, 3, and 5, that Yah had made humanity, Adam, that he calls him, that's named that, is both male and female. They become one. So when we talk about a husband and wife, that's what humanity is Adam. Okay. Any uncircumcised person who will not allow or will not let himself become it will be cut off because he broke my covenant. You broke my covenant. Elohim said to Avram, as for Sarai, your wife, you are not to call her Sarai, mockery, but call her name Sarah, princess. So mockery here, okay, is the same word that was used for Yitzchak. I told you this before. Yitzchak's name means laughter. But remember, Yishmael started to mock, making a mockery out of this, not laughing with him, but laughing at him. Mockery means people were laughing at her because she couldn't have a child. She was barren all those years. It was a humiliating thing for a woman to be part of a culture like this and not be able to have children. It was humiliating. How do we know this? When you look at the book of Samuel, Samuel's mama couldn't have a child. Her name was Hannah. She couldn't have a child. When you look at Rachel, she couldn't have a child. You understand? So there's a lot of women in here who never been able to have children. And it was no miracle. Listen, with no sprinkle, no Holy Spirit came upon anybody. They went through the natural process of sexual intercourse with a man. But what did they need in order to change their dynamic? Remember, Rachel got mad at Yaakov and said, why haven't you given me a child yet or son? He said, that's not my problem. Why are you talking to me about that? You need to go talk to Yah. He's the one who's withheld it from you. So we know off the top that Yah is the one who's in control of life. He's in control of the womb. He can close the woman's womb. Has there been any other examples where Yah closed the womb? Yes, he closed the womb of those who were in Egypt when Pharaoh took Avram's wife. Yah closed up all the wounds. He closed up the wounds of all these people. And same with Avimelech in chapter number 20. He closed the wounds of the people there, the women, and then he can open it, he could close it. So is that something that Yah could do? Yes, he's proven that. My point is to understand, remember that Yah is saying, I'm going to do some things. I'm going to make this happen. I'm changing her name from mockery to princess. And I got to get rid of anybody that's going to mock her. And she did. And he said, I will bless her. So did he just bless Abraham? No, he blessed her too. And I will bless her. I will give you a son by her, and I will bless her. That's why in chapter number 19, he says he remembered her because he made a promise to her. She will be a mother of nations. Kings and peoples will come from her. And at this, well, look what happened. Remember we talked about Sarah laughing inside of herself? Well, guess who else laughed? He laughed. Abraham fell on his face, and he laughed. This is prior to his circumcision. He thought to himself inside of his head, will a child be born to a man 100 years old? Because he just had Yitzchak at 87 years old. He thought, this is it. I got one off and that's it. And Sarah gave birth at 90. So we see in chapter number 17, Yah's telling him what it is. In chapter 18, Yah appears to him and makes himself known. But listen what Yah says. Abraham said to Elohim, if only Yishmael, the one that you hear, could live in your presence. And guess what Yah said? He said, no. No. This is Avram's firstborn. He said, no. But Sarah, your wife, will bear you a son, and you will call his name Yitzchak, laughter. And I will establish my covenant with him. I'm not establishing my covenant. Now listen to me carefully. Yah told everyone in that house to get circumcised. But then he says here that, Avram was like, well, let's let Ishmael, he's here. He's 13 years old. Let's have him rule. Yah says no. But she's going to be the one who's going to provide you with a son, and you're to call him Yitzchak. Yah named this boy. Yah named him. Yah named Yishmael in chapter number 16. Yah's naming people, okay, for his purposes. He named this boy Yishmael because in chapter number 21, Yishmael says that he will hear him, and Yah heard Yishmael when he was crying out when he was dying. That's why Yah named him that. Yah's calling this boy right here Yitzchak. Why? Because his mother, so everybody can laugh. Everybody's gonna laugh now because you got a 100-year-old man and you got a 90-year-old woman breastfeeding a child in front of everybody. That which seems impossible now has not been impossible because Yahweh is doing it. The people now are not laughing at her, they're laughing with her. You better hear what I'm saying to you today. I will establish, make it known, and put on the foundation of my covenant with him, who? Yitzchak, an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. But as for Yishmael, I have heard you. That's what Yishmael's name means. I heard you. That's why I'm naming him Ishmael as well. Means I'll hear, because I'm letting you know that I hear. I heard you. Yah hears us. As we talked about on Thursday, that's why the name is Yishmael. Yah hears us. Yah hears. But Yah also sees. And why is he telling us that he hears and he sees? And he knows, because Yah is living. He's a living Elohim, and he doesn't want us to think that he's a statue. And he doesn't want us to think that he's some hippie that got nailed to a cross. He doesn't want us to think that he rose on the third day. He says, I'm the Elohim who liveth forever. You can't kill me. I know you guys think you want to and make me into a man, but you can't. I live forever. This is what he says in 20. But as for Yishmael. I heard you. I have heard you. I have blessed him. I blessed him, and I will make him fruitful. So if you keep hearing the same word blessed, it talks about being fruitful. And I will give him many descendants. That's the blessing. Blessing has to do with land, and it has to do with descendants. Okay, that's what it has. And the benefits of the land is the blessings that come out of the land. Okay, the multitude of descendants are the blessings, because you get to continue, your family line gets to continue, the promise gets to perpetuate all the way down. He will father 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. So that's the promise. Again, it's all I will establish my covenant with Yitzchak. He said it again, whom Sarah will bear to you at this time next year. He comes and he tells him this, but he shows up in chapter 18, which is the next chapter, and visited him before he's going to Sodom and Gomorrah, to stop off and have a meal, to talk with him, to express to him what he's about to do because of the intimacy with him. Okay. And so Abraham took Ishmael, his son, and all the slaves born in his house, and all who had been bought with money, every male among the people of Abraham's household, and he circumcised the flesh of their foreskin that very day, just as Yahweh had said to him. So he's being obedient. And he was what? Again, he verifies and lets us know that he was 99 years old. Who's writing his story? Moshe's writing his story. And he's telling us what's going down. Why? Because Yah does not want to hide anything from us. Because you and I are the ones who are going to what? You and I are going to keep and do what he says. That's why he's not hiding this from us. Because if he revealed it to Abraham, he's revealing to his descendants, people. That's why he's not hiding anything from you and I. Why is he not hiding it from us? Everybody was circumcised. Why is he? Look, every foreigner who was bought with money, why is he not hiding this? Why is y'all revealing this stuff to us? Why is he telling us this? It's only for one reason, and he's going to share it with us right now. Yah is sharing something with you and I, because he looks at us as the descendants of Abraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov. I'm going to tell you something in Deuteronomy chapter number 29. I want to write this for you. Things which are hidden which are hidden, they belong to Yahweh, our Elohim. So there are things that are hidden from Yah, or from us. There are things that are hidden are called what you call a sod, and sod is like sod, which is beneath. It's beneath, and it's hidden. You got to go hunt, and you got to go dig, and you got to go find, and you got to use your hands to go and to look for things. You got to use your eyes to see and to examine and to search, which is called darash. You got to go look for stuff. But the things that are hidden belong to Yahweh our Elohim. But listen to this. There's things that are hidden, but there's also things that have been revealed. The things that have been revealed, made known to us, they belong to us. Secret things belong to Yahweh, and he can reveal to whoever he wants to. The things that he revealed to us belong to us and to our children forever. So that we can do what? That's right. That's right. Observe, meaning do. Asa in Hebrew. Asa, meaning do and make happen. To do something means to make something happen. All the words of this Torah, of these instructions. Anything that you and I are getting revelation on, in anything part of the Torah, whether it's in Genesis or whether it's in chapter 18, 19, 20, or whatever, Yah is revealing these things to us so that you and I can observe the Torah. We can do it because it's not too hard for us to do, is it? You could do it. Is it too hard? Is the Torah too hard? Somebody tell me. Let's see if the Torah is too hard. Let's see. We want to know. A lot of people say it's done away with, it's too hard. Let's see if it's too hard. I think it's in. Let's just start in 16. Or here it is. Here it is. Verse 10. He begins to tell us in chapter number 30 of Deuteronomy that Yah's promised to come and get us out of our exile. But he wants us to know something. That, however, it's always a question, however, or it's a possibility theoretically, maybe this will happen. All this will happen only if you pay attention to what Yahweh says. Nothing will ever happen for us until we learn how to pay attention. The Shema, because that's what pay attention is. Shema means to hear, and it means to listen. And more abstractly, it means to obey. And you got your ears supposed to be opened so you can hear and listen and obey what Yah says. Okay? Why? So that you can obey. Remember, it's always so that I can give Abraham what I promised him, because I know that he's going to teach his children to do, to keep and guard and do what I tell them to do and guard my way. My way is a way of judgment. My way is regulations and commandments. My way, Yahweh says to us, which are written in the book of the Torah. That's my way. If you and I want to follow any kind of way, in Hebrew, way is called derek, where you get your word direction from, okay? Meaning a path, meaning a way that you travel. You understand? Yah's ways are cycles. They're not just linear lines going from one destination to the next. What it is called a cycle. So in Yah's ways, there's cycles. You go here, go to this point, go here, go to this next location, go here, go to over here, and he keeps taking us all around these areas all the time. And we're like, why do we keep going in circles? Why do we keep going in circles? Why do we keep going in circles? Because I have to keep teaching you over and over and over again. I need you to see something when you come here to this Shabbat. Then I'm going to take you to the next Moedim. Then I'm going to take you over here to Feast of Pesach. And I'm going to take you over here to, Shavuot. And I'm going to take you over here to Matzah. I'm going to take you all over the place. The more you see something, the more familiar you get with it, the more comfortable you get with it, the more you learn your environment. So you can feel more comfortable in it. I'm more comfortable in the Torah now, today, than I've ever been in my whole life. Why? Because I've been through the Torah portions. I've been walking with Yah for 8 years. When I started walking with him, it was difficult. I was falling all over the place. I was stumbling. I was scared. I was frustrated. Yah says, you got to keep walking. You got to stay on this path. And the more you stay on this path, the more you're going to learn. You're going to learn something every time you go through a cycle with me. You're going to become more familiar with the environment. You're going to learn more words. You're not going to get everything in one night. You're going to get it as you continue to walk with Yah. Remember, Yah told Abraham to walk, cause yourself to walk with me and be pure-hearted, be pure-minded. Be about it. Don't, be noble. This is what I'm about to make you into a kingdom. If you and I understood that we're going to be made into a kingdom, it kind of changes the way we think and about our perspective. It gives us a different perspective on life. It tells us how we should behave. It tells us what we should supposed to be focused on. Okay. So what Yah is saying is this: I need you to do what? I need you to obey my mitzvot, my regulations, and which are written in the book of the Torah. Okay. I need you to do this because that's where it's all at. So what is the Torah? A lot of people may ask, well, what is the Torah? The Torah are the commandments, because that's what mitzvot means. It means commands. Okay. Commands, instructions, and charges. Regulations are called mishpats. Okay, mishpats or mishpatim, or what we said earlier, the judgments. And judgments basically is what? How to make decisions. And decisions are either on behalf of someone or, for the plaintiff or for the defendant. You got to look at both sides. What happened? Look at situations. So the Torah is inclusive of all these different things. Also, what's included in the Torah is the times that we're supposed to show up for our festivals and everything. So the Torah is an embodiment, a book, of writings of all the instructions on what to do. Okay. And he says, in turn, if you turn, because it's always a question, because you and I can choose to turn or not to turn. A lot of people think that this is forced, that you don't have a free will. And I'm telling you today, you have a free will. You can be smart and you can be intelligent and you can be knowledgeable and you can be wise and you can walk with y'all, or you can be dumb and stupid and blind and walk away from them, which is not an insult. It's the truth. There's some sheep that can see and listen, and there's other ones who are dumb that are going to be destroyed. His Yah calls us his sheep. If you turn to Yahweh, your Elohim, with all, okay? A lot of people forget that this word right here is called in Hebrew call. Call, the letter Kaf. That's the name of the letter. The name over here is Lamed. Okay? The Kaf is the palm of the hand. The Lamed is the staff. The palm is in the staff, okay? Or the staff is in the palm. When a shepherd has a staff in his palm, he's using it to lead. He's using it to guide. He's using it to discipline. Okay, the discipline is to goad the animal in its side, to push it or to pull it into what? Ultimately, the goal is to tame it. Tame it, why? To make it ready for my service that I need to do. I need to prepare the animal. I need to prepare the nation so it can do what I need it to do, because I'm the master. And what I want you to do, you're a servant to me. I gave you animals to teach you what I'm going to do to you and what you need to understand and expect. As Yah's sheep and being led, like he said, we were led in the wilderness. He led us in the wilderness with shepherds in order to tame us, to make us fit for service. So anytime you see the word all, remember to be tamed. Why? If you turn to Yahweh with all, having a tamed heart here is your mind. Tame your mind. You can't watch this anymore. You can't think this anymore. You can't act like this anymore. Tame your soul. You can't eat like this anymore. We have to do this now, because we're under the authority of our Father, our husband. He gave the relationships of father, husband, master, which is called a Lord, wife, son, daughter, servant, all these titles, so it can fit into our understanding of what is expected. The master is over the servant. The husband is over the wife. The father is over the sons and the daughters. You understand? That's what it is. And if we grasp that concept and understand that through everything, and it doesn't make one either better than the other. Their titles and roles and responsibilities, so we can all bring about what Yah's intention was for humanity in the first place. We have to work together. Yah is infinitely more powerful than us, but he chose us to be his people, to be a wife to him. Why a wife? Because I don't want you to be a whore. I want to be intimate with you and you alone. So you can't have another God. So get rid of your idol, you whore. You understand? Why do I chose to be your father? Why did I ask you why are you called a son? Because you have a responsibility and a duty to me to pass on what I tell you. Why do you need to be a daughter? Because I love you and you're beautiful and you're the beauty of me. And I'm using you to provide what? A happy home and teaching and feeding everybody. But you look down on that, so you make these terrible meals and you microwave everything because you don't want to do your job, because you're not happy about being a woman. You're not happy because you got a menstrual cycle every month. Why are you not happy about that? You get to bring forth life. Everybody has a job and a responsibility because we all have a mission to bring about what Yah says. And our mission requires duty and responsibility. You understand? And responsibility has a key word called respond. Do you have the ability to respond? Yes, you do. And if you do have ability, then you can respond. Yah wants a response from us. He's the initiator, and we're the respondent. The husband is the one who is the initiator. He's the one who says, I want to go find a wife. The wife isn't supposed to go out and say, let me go find a husband. Yah is supposed to send a wife to a husband. It never said a wife to find a husband finding a good thing. It said the husband, a man who findeth a wife finding a good thing. Because Yah has shown you favor. You see? So it's how we look at it, and this is what the Torah and the writings tell us, and the prophets. They're revealing things to us. It's a matter if we're going to give all of ourselves to Yah. The commandment which I'm giving you is not too hard for you. It's not beyond your reach. It isn't in the sky where you need to ask who will go up in the sky and get it for us. So you can forget about the resurrection of Jesus Christ. You can forget about that because Yah says you don't need anybody to go up the sky and get it for you and bring it to us. You don't need anybody to come down so we can obey it. You don't need that. Likewise, it is beyond the sea. It's not beyond the sea. You don't. Why? Because you don't need anybody to go get in a ship and travel like Paul did to Caesarea and Philippi and do a missionary journey and cross the seas to tell you, to ask you who will cross the sea for us to bring it to us. You don't need anybody to bring you nothing. You don't need anybody to go and get nothing for you. You understand? And it's a matter of you bringing it to us and making us hear it. It's a matter of us bringing us so we can hear it. No, it's already there. Why? So we can obey it. You see? On the contrary, the word is the command. That's the command. The command is to Shema. The command is to listen to Yah is one. That is the command. In your mouth, it's even in your mind. They have heart there, it's your mind. And you can what? You could do it. Why do you think Nike is so popular? Just do it. No, you could do it. You could do it. You could do it. Don't tell me you can't do it, because you can. We can, and we should, and we have to, if we choose. Okay? Let's look at something else and we'll close out. I have a few moments, and I wanted to share this with you in your teaching, because this is one of the best parts of the Torah portion this week. In chapter number 22, it's called the Jewish people call it the Akedah. It's called the Yakidakah. Okay, Yakidakah, it comes from this word to be one, Yakad. Okay, Yakad. Yakad, they get that word from Ekad. Akkad means to be one. Yahweh is one. So Yakad means to be unified, united. Okay, unified. Okay, union. Okay, you understand? To be joined, to be unified. Okay, so that's what the thing is about this. I'm going to read it and we're going to go through it and then we'll end our class. So after Yah decides he's going to do the Sodom and Gomorrah, and he decides that he weaned his son, it's a couple of years later, Yitzchak is an older son. He's just weaned off the breast. They celebrated, and, Ishmael got kicked out because he was laughing at the boy, and Sarah didn't like it. So they put him out. Now, after these things, Elohim tested Abraham. Okay. Tested him. Yah tests Israel all the time. He tests Abraham. He tested Israel in the wilderness, making them hungry. He's going to test you and I by sending false prophets to us to see if we're going to listen to them. He tested us by coming in fire to see whether or not we would fear him and keep his commandments. He tested us in chapter number 16 of Exodus and put out some manna to see whether or not we would pick it up the way he asked us to. He tests us all the time. Chapter number 15 of Exodus, verse 25, he tests us. He told him, he answered, here I am. I went over it, here I am, hineni, meaning here I am. He presented himself to Yah. He said, take your son, your only son. Now this is where you get the mistranslation. Was he his only son? No, it's not his only son. This right here is the Yakad. Take the one that you unified. Take the one that you bound yourself to, the one that you love. Take that one that you love, the one you're unified in your heart with. That's what I want you to do. Not your only, because that's not true. That's not true. That's not his only son. He has two sons. That word only right here is mistranslated. They want it to be only so they can match it up with the Christian narrative. That's the reason why they put only there. It's Yakid. Okay. When it means Yakad, meaning unified. The one that you've joined yourself with, the one that you love. Now I want you to remember this, the one that you love. And he tells you who the one he loves. He loves laughter. The one who made you laugh. That's the one I want you to take. Okay. I need you to take him and take him to the land of Moriah. Moriah right here means the land to see. S-E-E. So you'll find our Torah portion in this word, Moriah, and it means Yah sees. From the seeing of Yah. Okay, because Re'eh means to see. So Ma means from seeing Yah. Yah sees. The land of where Yah will see, and we'll verify if this is true. There you are to offer him as a burnt offering. Is that true? Yes, it is. On the mountain that I will show you. Okay. Not point out, show. Show again is Ra'eh, our Torah portion. To see. I'm going to make it be known to you. I'm going to show it to you. Either you're going to see it or I'm going to show it to you. And I'm going to show it passively. Abraham got up early in the morning. He saddled his donkey and the two of his young men with him, together with Yitzchak, his son. He cut the wood for the burnt offering. He departed and went toward the place, the Makom, which is Moriah, and that Elohim had told him about. Okay. And on the third day, okay, Yom Shalishi, okay, Abraham raised his what? Again, we see Ra'eh again, talking about his eyes. And he what? And he saw Ra'eh. So this is the reason why Yah would use this Torah portion called Wa'era, because Ra'eh is saw. What did Sarah saw? She saw the way that Ishmael was mocking her son. What else did they see? In the chapter number 21, we saw that Hagar saw a well that Yah opened up her eyes to see. So Yah is really wanting us to see something, because the things that are hidden belong to Yah, but those things that are revealed through your eyes, when Yah reveals it, it belongs to us and our children, so we can keep the Torah, right? So he opened up his eyes and he saw the Makom. He saw the place from a distance. Abraham said to his young men, stay here with the donkey, and I and the boy will go there and worship and return to you. I've read this in the Hebrew, so that's why I'm kind of going through it quickly, because I know if it's telling us the truth or not, or if it's translated properly. Okay, that's what I mean by truth. Is it true? Yes, but how is it translated? That's important. Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering. He laid it on Yitzchak, his son. That's true. And he took his hand with the fire and the knife. Yes. And they went together. Here, the word together is the word yakad. Again, we're seeing this word yakad again, meaning they were unified. Okay. The one that he what? In love. He loves him. And so laughter spoke to Abraham, his father, and he said, and he answered him. What did he say to him? He said, Hine, here I am, my son. And he said, I what? Again, Ra'eh. I see what? I see the fire and I see the wood, but where's the lamb? This is true. The word there is for lamb or for the burnt offering. Where's it at? Guess what his father said? He said, Elohim will provide. This word provide right here is a mistranslation. That word right there is ra'eh. And let me show it to you. So you can be like, wait a minute, what? Yeah. So they put provide there because they want you to see, they want you to think that. Okay. But we're going to see what the Holy One of Israel says in the ancient tongue, chapter number 22. And let's see, verse number Abraham. Okay, he said there, and later father, we said, where am I? Oh, here it is. And he said, Abraham, Elohim will what? Oh, look at that. Look at that. We see again that they're not being honest. So for us, from our Western culture, provide means what? What's provide mean? Ooh, we think about giving, you know, giving someone something and all that kind of stuff, right? But it's 7200, and 7200 is re-eh. This yod right here means he. That's the third person masculine singular. And so what he was really saying is, and let me just click on it so you can see it, because they said provide there. Let's see if it says provide. Let's just see. Oh, wow. Aha. Remember this whole week, whoever been on the class, you know I've been saying right the whole time, 7200, because that's what I've been looking for the whole Torah portion. It says to see. There's nothing about providing here. There's nothing about providing, giving. Nothing about that. He's talking about you're going to see something. You're going to see something. Yahweh he will see. Who's going to see? Yahweh's going to see, because he's asking him a question. Look at the question. Abraham said Elohim. Elohim is G-O-D in English. The powerful one is he. That's the he, third person masculine singular. He will see for himself the lamb. He's going to do what he wants to do. He's going to see a lamb, the one that he wants. Okay. Just wanted to show that to you. Let's go back to our English so we can move on a little bit faster so your eyes won't hurt from going right to left. And he said, so we know here now that it is that Yahweh will not provide, but Yahweh will see. He will see. Because remember, our Torah portion is about re'eh. That means to see. Yahweh will see. A lamb for a burnt offering, my son. And they both went what? Again, yakad. Again, that's the third time. Okay. And because Yah wants us to see the yakadness. He wants to see the unity. Right? Because there's a reason why, and I'm gonna show you it to you, like show what I'm gonna write and show you what he's talking about. And so they came to the place. Again, they're unified together in verse number 9. And then Elohim told him that he told him about. Abraham built an altar there. He set the wood in order, and he bound Yitzchak. He tied up Yitzchak, and he laid him on the altar. Yitzchak was in his 30s. He's around 30-something years old when this happened. Okay. And then Abraham put out his hand. So you young men who think, well, I'm 30, I would have fought this. I would have fought off my dad. The bottom line is this son right here was willing. He trusted his father, and he was willing to do what he told him to do, right? We need to see that. That, okay? Because obedience from a son is what he owes to his father. Your father tells you to do something is because he sees something that you can't see. Abraham saw something that he couldn't see. He said he will provide. He will see. Not provide, he will see. Elohim will see. Because Elohim what? Elohim sees. That's what Hagar saw. That's what everyone sees. Yah not only sees, but he also hears. So Abraham told him, and he built an altar there, and he set the wood in order. He bound Yitzchak, his son, and he laid him on the altar. This is where the Christians get the story. And they put him on the wood. Okay, he put him on the wood. Then Abraham put his hand and took the knife to kill his son. Yes, this is true. He did. He took the knife and he put it, and the malach, not the angel, it's called a malach in Hebrew. A malach, okay, 2 letters in there that I want you to focus on, the lamed and the kaf. And if you reverse them, it's called lach. That's why it's called a malach. Okay. And a malak is one who has the staff in his hand, who's going to be a messenger. He's someone who's going on behalf of someone else. Okay. He's going on the behalf of Yah. He's not Yah. He is a messenger of Yahweh. He's not Yahweh. This is the same malak, the messenger of Yahweh who spoke to Hagar when she went into the wilderness in chapter number 16. This is the same malak of Yahweh who spoke to her in chapter number 21 when she went back out to the wilderness. Okay. And he said, Abraham, Abraham. And he answered, here I am. Hani. Right? Hani, here I am. And he said, don't lay your hand on the boy. Don't do anything to him. That's true. Everything he just said. For now, I know. Who's the I know? The malak of Yahweh? No. Yahweh knows, because Yahweh sent a messenger to say this to him. Now I know that you are a man who fears Elohim. The purpose of him bringing him here, when Yah asked him to lek lekai in chapter number 12, was to finally bring him to chapter number 22, to this place. He brought him here to the place where Yah sees, because Yah wanted to see whether or not Abraham would to know if Abraham would fear him. Yahweh wants to know, because seeing here means that Yahweh had to put him to the test. So Yahweh puts us to the test to see things. He wants to see whether or not you and I are going to do his commandments. He wants to see whether you and I are going to keep the Shabbat. He wants to see whether or not we're going to follow the diet. He wants to see whether or not we're going to trust in him. He wants to see. He wanted to see whether or not it was true. He has to see it for himself. He went down, left the Shamayim, and came down to see what they were doing down in Babylon when they were building the tower. He wants to see, because Yah sees. So Yah, and when Yah puts us to the test in our lives, it's because he wants to see something. He wants to see whether or not you and I fear him. Because this is the goal. The goal is to fear Yahweh. That's the goal. Okay. And the reason why he wants to know this is because if you fear him, you'll do what he says. If you don't fear him, you won't do what he says. That's the bottom line. And fear here has is a meaning in the Torah, because the word is called Yah-Re. Okay. And the root of it has the Yod and the Resh, which I'll have right here, a Yod and a Resh. Yar. Okay. When we put it into Hebrew, the same root for Yar here is the same one for Torah. Don't have time to go to it right now, but I'm telling you, the same word for fear has the same word for Torah. It means to be instructed. Yah brought him here to test him to see whether or not he was going to be worthy of being exalted. He wanted to see if he was worthy, if he could be the one that he trusts. That's the only reason why you're tested, to find out if you can be trusted. If you're honorable, if you find yourself to be honorable enough or more deserving, if you deserve the elevation or to be exalted. So everything that you may go through, like our friend Eov, which they call Job, what would happen to him? He went and got tested, and he went through trials, and he went through pain, and he went through suffering, because Yah was testing him. Why? To see if he's worthy. And after Yah tested him, he exalted him. Israel right now is being tested to see whether or not you and I are worthy to be elevated, to be lifted up. Because the same word that's used for test, now listen to me very carefully, is called Nasa. Nasa has the same meaning as Nasa right here. Nasa means to lift up. Okay. Lift up a what? A burden. Yah wants to know if you and I can hold the burden and be able to carry it. When he asked Abraham to do this, he put a burden on him to see if he was willing to lift it and carry it for him. And the reason why he asked him to do this, because he wanted to know if he would listen and obey what he said. As a result of that, he says, now I know that you fear me, because you were obeying me and you listened to what I said. That's what this is all about. That's why he used the same word for test for lifting up, because in order to find out if you're worthy, and you deserve to be lifted up. Yah doesn't lift people up because just to be lifted up. He lifts them up because they deserve to be lifted up. And that's something you and I have never been taught. We thought we were going to be lifted up because we cried about how evil and how nasty and wicked we were. Yah's not lifting it up because of that. Yah tells, I'm coming back to get you, not because of any good you've done. I want to find out whether or not you're going to do what I say. Then I'll find out whether or not you're deserving of what I'm about to give you. So if you're waiting on something from the Holy One of Israel, understand you're going to have to be found worthy of deserving it. Yah only gives out what you deserve. He only gives out what you deserve. He tells you you're suffering because of your sins, because I'm giving you what you deserve. Yah gives people what they deserve, whether it's for good, which is Tov, T-O-V, or evil, which is Ra. Okay. What do you know the Tov and the Ra? The tree of knowledge of good and evil. So you and I decided to know what good was, and we decided to know what evil was. And because we decided that, and we know this, and we could play dumb if we want to and act like we don't know what it is. We got the knowledge of good and we got the knowledge of evil. Our ancestors do too. And they passed that information on to us as kids, and we got it. But Yah is telling us, I'm going to pay you back. You getting paid what you deserve. When you went into exile, it's because you deserve it. When I call you a house of rebels, I'm not saying that because I'm trying to be mean to you. I'm telling you that you've been a rebel against me. I'm paying you back. All the times that you did what you did, I'm paying you back. Every Shabbat that you broke, you're going to be paid back. Because if I don't pay you back, that means that I'm not a just and living Elohim. And that means that anybody can pull something they want to pull, and I won't pull the trigger. Now you're questioning who I am and my nobility and my righteousness and my kingship and my authority. I will not put my authority in question because I let the wicked go free. That's not a righteous king. I'm going to pay you what you deserve. That's what it is. So this Malak says, don't lay your hand on the boy. Don't do anything to him. Not a scratch. For now I know. Now I know. Did he know it the whole time? Yah wanted to what? Yes, Yah knew it. He wanted to see it. Why? So you and I can see it for ourselves. He puts us in situations in our lives like he did our father Abraham, so he can see whether or not he was going to follow through, and he did. You're a man that fears Elohim. And because you have not withheld your son, your what? Not your only son, the one that you loved. You're the one that you yakad, the one you're unified with. Yah brought him to this place. That's why Lech Lekah was prior to this Torah portion. And now it's Wayera, because Yah's intention is for him to see something. Torah A. I want you to see something, Avraham. I want you to see how much you love him. You love your son. And I want to see if you love your son more than you love me. And therefore, because I want to see that, I'm going to test your love. I want to see if you love your son more than me. I want to see if you love your daughter more than me. I want to see if you love your wife more than me. I want to see if you love anybody more than me. Go to Deuteronomy chapter number 13. He says, I'll send a false prophet to test you to find out if you really do love me. I want to know. Because when I'm giving out, can't just be gotten by somebody who just is wishy-washy with me. I want to know. Oh, Akika, Dawid, you're tripping. No, I'm not. I'll show it to you right here. If a prophet or someone gets a message while dreaming, arises among you and gives you a sign or a wonder, and that sign or wonder comes about as he's predicted when he said, let us follow other gods, which you have not known. Let us serve them. You are not to listen to what that prophet or dreamer says. But Yahweh, your Elohim, is what? He's testing you. I'm going to test you in order to find out whether you really do love Yahweh, your Elohim, with all your heart and being. That's what I want to know. You are to follow Yahweh. Follow means be on the path. Direction that I told you, your Elohim. What are you supposed to do? Fear him. Obey his commandments and listen to what he says. Serve him and cling to him. You better take hold of him. And that prophet or dreamer is to be put to death. Why? Because he urged rebellion against Yahweh, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, who redeemed you from a life of slavery in order to seduce you away from what? From the path that Yahweh has ordered you to follow. I want to know whether or not you really do love me. I'll put a woman in your life and I'm going to test to see if you're going to listen to her or you're going to listen to me. I'll give you a business and put it in front of you and see whether or not you're going to do what that says or do what I asked you to do. Are you going to work on the Shabbat on the business because you're trying to make money? What are you going to do? I'll put a whole bunch of people in your life to find out whether or not you love me. Because this relationship is based upon our love for him. It's his love for us is never in question. His love for us is not questioned. You wake up this morning, is his love in question? No. It is our love that needs to be tested. That's why he chose this boy. He chose the one whom he loved more than anything else to him. He chose him. Let's finish out. He said this. I know now that you fear me. You haven't withheld your son, the one that you loved, the Arkat, the one that you united with in your heart. I know this now. And Abraham raised his eyes and he looked, he was like, hey, again. And there behind him was caught in the bushes in its horns, a ram was caught. And went and took the ram and offered it as a burnt offering in the place of his son. What is it saying to us? Number one, when you talked about the Lamb of God has been sent to take away the sins of the world, Yah was never looking for a lamb. Yah wants us to see that he was looking for a ram. And he found a ram and he caused, and Yah provided and saw for himself his own sacrifice. He allowed this ram to get twisted and put his horns inside of the bushes. A place of contemplation. You understand? And Yahweh, told Abraham went and took the ram and he offered it as a burnt offering in its place. Yah saw this. Yah saw this before Abraham did. So does it seem like Yah's trying to prove that he's going to kill his son? Yah had already saw that he was going to bring a ram there. The ram was already going to be there. And that's why Abraham, when he looked and he saw behind himself, Yah's telling us, when you look, I'm trying to show you. I want to know if you love your son or your daughter or anybody else, whatever you love. The son is representative of what you love because the son had to do with being Yakad. What have you joined yourself with? What have you unified yourself with? Did you unify yourself with another God? I want to see if you love that God more than me. That's why I'm testing you. The son is just the emblematic part of the love where the love was being directed. So you telling me that Yah would send his son into the world to kill his son to find out to see if you and I really love him. That doesn't make sense if we're going to stick with this narrative. Yah's not sending his own son in the world to kill his son to find out if you and I really love him or to prove his love to us. You better hear what I said. The test is on the other side. It's not whether or not Yah loves us. That's not what's in question. Like the New Testament says, he so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Yah has always loved this world. For the inception of by filling it with everything it needs. The test is to see whether or not you and I love him. He's not asking us to believe this. He's asking us to do something. And listen what I'm trying to tell you. Abraham called the place to Yahweh Yireh or Yireh. And guess what that is? Remember I told you Mount Moriah is called Yireh? It's a mountain on which Yah chose. And here it is. And Yireh means Ra'eh. That means to see. And the Yod right here, which is the Y, is he sees. Yahweh sees. Yahweh chose that mountain because that's the mountain where he's going to see. That's why the Christians took it and they used it to say, oh, he died on Mount Moriah. Do you understand? If Yah is going to see anything, right? What was Yah trying to see? He was trying to see if Abraham loved him. That's what he was trying to see. If Abraham loved him more than he loved his son. Yah's not going to reverse the process and say, well, I want to see if I'm going to prove to you that I love you by giving you something. And then your love to me is believing that I loved you by giving you this. No. The covenant with us is established through Abraham and what Yah had said. So Yah says this name of this place is called Yireh, okay? Meaning Yahweh will see. He will see what? To it. He will see, okay? Not provide. If you notice they didn't use the word provide like they did before, that is called to provide. No, it's not provide, it's to see. Yahweh sees, and that's what he wants us to know. They put in here provide. No, it's not, it's see. As it is said to this day, on the mountain, Yahweh is what? He's seen. That's what the whole thing of Wayera is about this week. And the Malach of Yahweh called to Abraham a second time out of the Shamayim, just like he called out of the Shamayim to Hagar in chapter number 21, previous chapter, he's calling out to Abraham. And guess what he says? He has said, I have sworn, he's talking on Yahweh's behalf, says Yahweh, that because you have done this, done what? Because you haven't withheld your son. That means you haven't refused. You haven't refused to give me what I'm asking for. You haven't refused, you haven't withheld. You haven't held back anything for me. You didn't say I'm going to give you some part of what I love, but not all of it. You didn't hold on to your religion down in Chaldees or the Babylonians. You didn't hold on to what your mother and your father taught you and grandma and big mom and papa. You did what I asked you to do. And because you've done this now you are considered to be deserving of what this I'm going to do. I will most certainly bless you. And I most certainly will increase your descendants, as many as there are the stars in the sky and the grains of the sand on the seashore. You and I can't throw away this covenant. You and I can't throw away this promise because some Greeks came around and told you we're going to take your story and revamp it so everybody else can be included in it. So those people who believe can be saved because they have the faith of Abraham. Well, guess what Abraham did that these clowns are not doing? They didn't withhold anything from Yahweh. If you notice, it's not about Yahweh giving, it's about what we're giving and what we're not withholding. You understand that? And so Yahweh says, your descendants will possess the cities of their enemies. The covenant of Christ didn't say that, did it? Did it say that? Did the covenant of Christ and the New Testament tell you that you're going to have descendants? Did it tell you that he's going to increase your numbers? No. You almost made me start cussing. Today's the Shabbat. I can't get that angry. Control, control, control. He did not tell us about land and descendants. Not in the New Testament. Those Greeks and the Romans didn't tell you that. What Yah said, and he made a promise, is that your descendants will be as the grains of sand in the seashore. They'll be like the stars that are in the heavens. And by your descendants, all the nations on the earth will be blessed. Why? Because all the nations of the earth are going to come and bow down and bend the knee to your descendants, because your descendants are going to be the ones who are going to be the chief of the nations, because they're going to lead and teach the nations how to do what I tell them to do, because you obeyed my order. You did what I told you. You did what I told you to do, because you fear me and you love me and you kept my command. That's the class for today. That's the class for today. That's what he wanted you to know on this Shabbat, that it's because of him obeying Yah. That's why he inherited everything he inherited. That's why you and I will inherit the inheritance of our Father if you and I would do what he said to do. Okay? That's what we got to do. There's no question whatsoever about what the Creator said. None. We have to get this in our understanding. We have to get it in our understanding. We have to see this. We have to ra'eh this. Yah told him, talking about Yitzchak, go ahead, because I want to tell you about Abraham. He says, stay in this land, and I will be with you, and I will bless you, because I will give all these lands to you and your descendants, because it's about lands. And I will fulfill the oath which I swore to Abraham, your father. What oath? Circumcision. That's the sign. I told you what I was going to do. If you do this, I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky. And I will give these lands to your descendants, and by your descendants, all the nations of earth will bless themselves. In Abraham's children, listen to this. They will bow themselves, because that's what blessing. I mean, they'll give gifts. Here it is. You ready for it? Because this is what it is. All this, everything I just told you, is because of what? Because Abraham heeded what I said, and he did what I told him to do. He followed my commandments, my judgments were mishpatim, and my teachings and my rulings. That's why. So if you and I want to go and receive anything, it's because this man that I'm closing out today with, our Father, the exalted one of many, he did what Yah told him to do. That's what he did. He did what his father told him to do. That's how it's supposed to be passed on. I'll tell my son, he's online. If you want to honor me, do what I say. I don't care how uncomfortable it is. Do what I tell you to do, because I'm not trying to lead you in the wrong direction. I'm telling you what it is, because I love you and I want you to have it. And I can only do what I said I'm going to do and bring that which I told you I'll bring to you if you obey what I say. And every man on here should tell his children the same thing. You're not receiving nothing from me if you don't do what I say, period. That's the teaching Abraham gave to me through the Torah. Here is the final conclusion. Now that you have heard everything, what? Fear Elohim and keep, meaning guard his commandments, that is what being human is all about. For Elohim will bring to judgment everything we do, including every secret, whether good, which is tov, or bad, which is ra. Here's the final conclusion. Now that you have heard everything, you and I are to fear Elohim, and you and I are to guard his commandments. And this is what being human is all about. Praise be to the Holy One of Yisrael, the King of the universe. Praise be to the Holy One of Yisrael, the God of Abraham, Issac, and Yaakov. Praise be to the Holy One of Yisrael, who has kept his promise to share with us the land and descendants, and to make us as numerous as the stars in the sky. I say praise and honor be to the Holy One of Yisrael, the one who's given us food, clothing, and shelter, one who's allowed us to be able to see this wonderful Shabbat day. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech haolam, Yatsar or Uvare Koshekano say Shalom. Uvare Thakol. Blessed are you, Yahweh, our Elohim, King of the world. He is forming the light and he's creating darkness. He's making peace and creating all things. I say shalom to you. Any questions, contributions, statements before I let you guys go?
Yeah. Where can I find the customs for the daughters?
You can find that in Numbers chapter number 24, I believe. Yep. Certain things that she can say that she says something in your house and you turn around and heard it, you can void it out and say, no, you can't. You can find, I think I don't know where it is. I think it's in Leviticus where it talks about how if she gets caught, no, I don't think it's in Leviticus. I think it's in the judgment. So Mishpatim, I think you look in chapter number 23, 24, 22, 23, and 24 of Exodus. And it might be in there about his judgments about how to deal with your daughters. But then you find it throughout the Torah, but more specifically in Numbers chapter number 24. He really deals with the role of a husband to a wife and the role of a husband to a daughter. And also too, though, in Leviticus, it talks about, and I think it's in chapter, I don't want to give you the wrong one, but I think 17, 18, and 19, I think pretty much deals with how the priest, as long as she's underneath the roof of your house, through the teachings on how the Kohanim, they said if your daughter is still underneath your house, she can't, if she got married to another man and she got divorced, she can't eat of the offering. So there's different examples of what her roles and her responsibilities are, and you'll find that. But like I said, more specifically in Numbers 24, it gives you what it talks about vows, what her responsibility is and what you can and cannot do. Okay. Numbers chapter 14 tells us about the death of the young men, right? The age of 19 and 20, and how at that age you're not responsible, right? Under 19, he says they don't know the difference between good and evil. So obviously good and evil, you get mature, you come to a certain point where you'll really understand what it is. And Yah chose that time. He chose 19 years old. Once you go beyond 19, now you understand, so that's where that's at as well. Thank you for the question. Anyone else?
Yeah, I got another one. What if like an individual's like mentally challenged? How are they held responsible, or if they are?
Well, that Yah knows all, right? He knows what we're thinking. So we can't hold someone responsible if they're not cognitively there. You can't hold them responsible for the actions, because if there's any kind of chemical imbalances and things of that nature, it's already some disruption there. You can't hold them responsible for their actions. In that sense of if you got to know what they know, right? So, you as a parent would know, hey, if they have the cognitive ability to understand it and to be able to differentiate and to distinguish some differences, then you should already know that from the time that you've been raising them. You can't try to figure them out when they turn 20. You got to know them from when you start raising them. So there's different things that we understand, and we understand their disabilities. And disability doesn't necessarily mean that something's just wrong with them. It may just be something how they learn. There's learning disabilities, there's physical disabilities. I'm disabled right now. There's certain things I can't do, and I should not be expected to do something I can't do. So when we look at the word disability or whatever, look at it from that perspective. It's not having the ability to do something, but it doesn't mean that I can't be held responsible. It depends on what context you're talking about. So someone who has the mindset of knowing this is good versus this is not good, and they understand it. You and I have to test them to see whether or not they know. Do you really know? Because that's what it is. It's about testing. It's about trying and examining. So that would be my counsel, is to really look and test and find out, do they really know? And you can find that out. And sometimes we expect people to know something, and oftentimes they don't know it. I've had over 250 employees at one time, and there's certain things that I would say, but they would never do it. I'm like, well, why didn't they do it? Didn't they hear what I said? Well, That's why Yah brings us through the process of even us being tested and being tried and being examined, because he wants to know if you really do know it. He'll know if you know it or not, but he'll send us through it so he can show us something, right? So in that same context, what you can do before you make a judgment on something, test it out and see, just like Yah said, the man out there that goes, see whether or not they knew. And he found out, yeah, they do know, they are evil. This is what they just did. They demonstrated it. So Yah is about us seeing things. He wanted us to see it. That's why he revealed it to us, because he did go down there and he showed us their behavior, which was indicative of wickedness and exactly the act in which they wanted to do, which shows you where their minds were. So you can test those things. So if you want to know if someone's ready to receive or bring a judgment, because ultimately the only reason why you want to know whether or not you could hold someone responsible is because you want to know whether or not you can judge them and whether or not we're kind of, and so judgment again is to bring about a decision, but you can't make a decision until you're willing to examine the situation. Does that make sense? So before you pass any kind of judgments for anybody, all of us you need to examine the situation and examine the person, examine the environment they're in, and examine the things that are around. You got to open your eyes and look at things. Okay. So anytime we make a judgment, let's examine first. We're actually commanded in the book of Judges, excuse me, not Judges, Deuteronomy chapter number 16 and 17, that tells us that when you guys do have a judgment, if don't just accept what someone says, you got to go get witnesses. You have to investigate, meaning that you have to take your time. You have to examine a situation. You just can't make a judgment call without examination. So that's the groundwork for us. And that's the foundation of what Yah does, is to tell us, I need you to examine something before you make a judgment. Don't be so quick to judgment. Okay. Hopefully it gives you some kind of more insight about how to deal with that.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yes, I have a question
Yes.
with number 8. I don't know if you recall, but I only recall 3 times when mentions number 8, like Noah and his family, 8 members.
Yeah.
And then like 8th day you circumcise, and then the 8th day, I guess it would be the final Sukkot. Where I guess is it Sukkot?
Yeah, it's he calls it a mikra, which is a holy convocation. So generally after the 7 days of a festival, he would tell us, hey, when you guys meet on the 8th day, right? After that. And we're like, well, what's the 8th day? There's 8 days? No, there's 7 days. But he intermingles the first day with the 8th day, meaning it's the beginning of something new. So he calls it the 8th day. So it's kind of as if he's letting the 7th day have another day to continue on, to like solidify something. That's from the context or the text in which I've read on the 8th day. It's always as if he's saying, now that we've had the 7th day, the 8th day is to put the finishing touch on it, like the cap. So after every time he has a festival for 7 days, he says meet on the 8th day to close it out. So he says that a young animal, let it stay with his mother for 7 days. Finish out that day, and then on the 8th day, that's when you bring it as an offering to me. The child, he needs to be with his mother for 7 complete days. But on the 8th day, okay, then that solidifies, and it's like the capping stone of the event, right? So there's something about that. I don't fully understand all of it, but what I do know is that 8 represents a new beginning. It also too means that it has to do with something about development, because if you look at in context, when he says that Abraham had through a celebration, he threw a feast, okay, a mishteh for the people around him, eating and drinking, because they were weaning the son. The son was weaned, and he on that day, on the 8th day, okay. What was he weaned? Yes, but was he weaned from the breast on the 8th day? No. What he was at a place of development for him to be able. So maybe God knows something. Well, of course, God knows. He knows that after 7 days, the 8th day is when it's ready for its maturity, or it's ready. Its capstone is ready. It's ready to happen, because something has to happen. It's something new. It's something fresh. But it's the end of something, but it's also the beginning of something. You see what I'm saying? So Yah wants this circumcision to happen on this 8th day. He wants Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating.
Yeah, because
Because
it has to do with development in a sense, because remember, the cattle stays with its mother for 8 days. I mean, for 7 days. Once that complete week goes through that time period, it says, now you can bring it to me. So taken away from its mother. Oh, like a child, 7 days. He's been on the earth for 7 days. Now, why are you waiting to the 8th day? Because now I got to take it away from its mother to do what I want to do with it, because now it's time, right? It's time for this. So Yah chose this day. It's a very special day. Okay. In looking at it, what does it represent? Something new. What does it represent? It means represent cutting. It means cutting. What? Why? Because the animal slaughtered on the 8th day. What else is cut? The foreskin on the child, on the male is cut. It's cut. So blood is shed on that 8th day, and that's because that's what Yah wants. And that's all we know about that at this time.
that's
Hope
very
that
interesting.
brings more insight.
Yeah, because my culture, the cucumber flower blooms for 7 days, and on the 8th day, the flower falls off and the meat of the cucumbers formed.
See,
It
maturity.
begins.
Right.
And then in my culture, on the 7th year, after the 7th year, boy and a girl has to be separated to women's quarter and men's quarter on the 8th year.
Maturity. Yes.
Very interesting.
Very maturity, right? So that's what it is. It has to do, I know for sure, it has to do with maturity, because in both cases, with the animal and the human, and like you just mentioned, the flower. So you got animal life, you got human life, you got plant life. There's those similarities there. So it's about maturity, is ready to do something. Okay. Move to the next phase, right? So there it is. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, I got one more. Now, what's the Hebraic understanding of like giving up the spirit? I mean, is that like just the Most High just taking his breath back, okay, how the body goes back into the dirt, and it says the spirit goes back to the Most High? But is it just Yah just taking back his breath?
Yeah. He's just taking back his breath. Yeah. The body dies, right? And it goes away. It goes down back into the earth, and the spirit in which was in man, okay, humanity, goes back to who gave it. And I forgot what Psalms or what proverb that was in, but it's a matter of you leaving and then going back to where you came from. You're going to leave, and then you're going to go, and you're going to go back to where you came from. Just, that's what it is. Yah has designed our lives to go through this, this process. And often we don't understand it because we haven't gone through that, right? And we don't know about it. And that's something we want to know about it. But the only way that you and I can ever know about what that really means is that we have to go through it for ourselves. And, let's just read, I think in chapter 3. Let's just read something right quick to add, well, not my words, but let's see what this king said about it, because it's important. And thank you for your question, because often we all have these questions and we want answers. Remember, the secret things belong to Yahweh, but those things revealed to us belong to us and our children. For everything there's a season, a right time for every intention under heaven. There's a time to be born, and there's a time to die, a time to plant, a time to uproot, a time to kill, and a time to heal, a time to tear down, and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones. It's a time to embrace and a time to refrain, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to discard, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silent and a time to speak. It's a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What does the worker gain from his efforts? I have seen the tasks Elohim has given to humanity to keep us occupied. He has made everything suited to its time, so that he has given humans beings an awareness of eternity. He has given human beings an awareness of eternity, but in such a way that they can't fully what? Comprehend. From the beginning to the end, the things Elohim does. We're not going to be able to comprehend it. I know that there is nothing better for them to do than this, to be happy and enjoy themselves as long as they live. Still, the fact that everyone can eat and drink and enjoy the good that results from all his work is a gift of Elohim. I know whatever Elohim does will last forever. There is nothing to add or subtract from it. Elohim has done it so that people will fear him. That which was here already and that which will be has already been. But Elohim seeks out what people chase after. Anything, or excuse me, another thing I observed under the sun, there in the same place as justice was wickedness. There in the same place as righteousness was wickedness. I said to myself, the righteous and the wicked, Elohim will judge, because there is a right time for every intention and every action. Concerning people, I said to myself, Elohim is testing them so that they will see, you better hear it, they will see that they themselves are just like animals. After all, the same thing that happens to people happen to animals. The very same thing. Just as one dies, so does the other. Yes, their breath is the same. So that humans are no better than animals, since nothing matters anyway. They will all go to the same place. They all come from the dust and they all return to the dust. Who knows? Who knows if the spirit of a human being goes upward and the spirit of an animal goes downward into the earth? Who knows? So I concluded that there is nothing better for a person to do than to take joy in his activities, that is his allotted portion, for who can enable him to what? See, what would happen after him. That is from the Holy One of Israel for us. That was a wonderful text to conclude our lesson today. Yah wants us to see our frailty and our humanity. He wants us to appreciate it and enjoy your life while you have it. And your activities of work, whatever you do, enjoy it. Samaya, you do dresses and wedding dresses, and you do a whole bunch of great things. You have some joy in that, enjoy that, and continue to enjoy that. You guys like to eat food, celebrate. You like to go skiing, go ski. You know, if you like doing things, do it, because there's going to come a day where you're not going to be able to do it no more. It's going to be gone. By the way, you know, it's just what it is. People die, you know, and you know, they go. So you gotta enjoy your life. And Yah wants us to see that, but he also wants us to see why we're here. We have to live a certain way. We have to behave a certain way so we can enjoy our life. Yah's given us Torah so we can enjoy life. The Torah is to give us life, not to give us death. It's to give us life. That's why I said two ways before you, life and death. You make a choice. It's your choice. If you choose to have a hard life, you're going to have a hard life. If you choose not to listen, then you're going to have to pay the consequences of those actions. That's just how simple it is. Life is not complicated. We make it complicated. Life is very simple. You're here today and you're gone tomorrow. Your life is nothing but a vapor. You're nothing but dust. But while you're here, enjoy your life. Enjoy each other. Celebrate. Have fun. Today's a Shabbat. Go eat what you want. Drink as much as you want. Dance around. Play music. Do whatever you can. Because your life is nothing but toil and sorrow. But I'm going to allow you, the ones who decided to die, because that's what you guys chose, I'm going to give you a way which allows you to live longer and more prosperous. So choose the Torah, because that's the only way that you're going to have any joy on the face of this earth. That's it. And that's the way it's set up. I know everyone don't agree with it, but that's okay. It's up to you. And you will die. That's what you need to understand. You're not going to heaven, and you're not going to get some extraterrestrial body. You're going to die. And we don't know what goes beyond that time. We don't know, but we're going to find out. And until that time, enjoy your life. Laugh and cry, because this is what it is. I'm just telling you, that's what he says. So my job is to enjoy my wife and my children and what I can do right now. I used to be able to play golf. I can't play golf no more. Neurological problems. Can't do it no more. Am I gonna cry about it? Nah. No, I'm gonna laugh about it. Why? Because I had the chance. A lot of people didn't have that opportunity. I wish that I would have played better. I wish I would have been more serious about the game. But that's it. There's nothing else to say. You understand? So go enjoy yourself today. Go do something today for yourself to make yourself happy. This life is hard enough. You don't need any more challenges. Okay? I say Shabbat Shalom to you all. Praise the Holy One of Israel. And I'll see you next week on Absolute Knowledge of Torah.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.